What's going on, folks? I'm Deswood, and this is the Garmin Instinct, one of the more interesting devices that Garmin's released in recent times. So Garmin makes a lot of different types of watches, from the more smartwatch-like Vivo Active 3 to the more sports-oriented Forerunner 645 and 935. And then if you were more of an outdoor adventurer type, you'd have to take out a second mortgage to get into the Phoenix line of watches. But there wasn't anything necessarily in between, and that's where the Garmin Instinct comes into play. And it's kind of a blend of all these different types of watches with a completely different design that you wouldn't necessarily expect out of Garmin. So I've been testing the Garmin Instinct over the last couple months, using it for everything from trail running and hiking to mountain biking and road biking, running both outdoors and indoors, but also did make sure to take it inside to test it for stuff like weight training and high intensity interval training, rowing, as well as swimming, just so you can get a better idea of how it's going to work for you. So if this video does help you out at all, don't be shy about hitting that like button down below. It's a small little thing that you can do that helps the channel out a lot, and I definitely appreciate it. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the Garmin Instinct. So at first glance, you could argue that Garmin's just taking heavy inspiration from some watches from Casio, or they're just trying to cash in on that retro look. But after using it for the last couple months, I actually have to say that they put a lot of thought into the design of the Instinct, and this isn't just all for looks. Before the Instinct, if you wanted to buy a Garmin for durability, you had to pony up for the Phoenix line, which can sometimes be overkill. And although the Instinct is only made out of plastic, it is claimed to be built to 810G US military standards for thermal, shock, and water resistance down to 100 meters. And because it is made out of plastic, it is going to be quite svelte, only weighing 52 grams. And for comparison, the standard Phoenix 5 Plus weighs 86 grams and then 76 grams if you have the titanium version. So it's going to be a nice lightweight watch. It comes in just one size, but the strap is extremely long with notches all the way along the entire strap, so it should fit a variety of wrist sizes. I also quite like how the buttons are nearly flush with the case, which should prevent accidental presses, and the buttons also do have a nice texture on them. Now, the display itself is also what sets it apart from other Garmin's. At first, I was a little bit disappointed that it was not a color display, but after using it outside a lot, I really warmed up to it because although it is only a monochrome display, it has an incredible amount of contrast, which makes it very readable in direct sunlight. And then going back to its durability, you'll also notice that the display is going to be recessed to protect it even further, since it's made out of chemically strengthened glass and it does not have a sapphire glass screen option. But the other really unique thing about this display is this little cutout window. So at first I thought it was maybe a little bit gimmicky and they were just doing it just to be different, which it very well is, but I came to quite like it as it provides an extra little space for a highlight piece of information because it really does stand out. For instance, for swimming, it shows your last lap time when you press the lap key. That's pretty cool. And then another cool thing is that they really put a lot of thought into the watch faces. The stock watch face is pretty unique with a graph in the upper left-hand corner that can show your heart rate graph of the last 4 hours, steps, or other bits of information. And then you also have 2 additional complications on the bottom along with the time, of course. So there are 12 watch faces to choose from. However, there are actually only 6 different actual layouts. And bear with me as I hope I can explain this correctly. So you have 6 different layouts, and then each layout has an inverted version, a white background version, and then a black background version. But you can customize the data fields on each one individually. It's not that the black version just mirrors the same data fields as the white version. So I hope that makes sense. But as much as I do like the contrast of the display as well as that little cutout window, I do wish that the display was a little bit larger. There's a pretty noticeable black bezel or border of sorts around the display, and I do wish that it wasn't quite there, and I'm guessing that this has something to do with the military grade durability, but that's just merely a guess though. But the big advantage of being a monochrome display is that it will offer pretty good battery life with up to 14 days in smartwatch mode and 16 hours in GPS mode. And I was getting about 12 days in smartwatch mode with plenty of notifications, and then I think it was about 12 to 14 hours in GPS mode, so I think that's pretty darn respectable. Now, in regards to this feature set, like I said, it's kind of like a blend between a Vivo Active 3 and a Forerunner 645, but they did put a lot more emphasis into the outdoor adventure features, like a 3-axis compass, a barometric altimeter, as well as GPS navigation using courses, along with a breadcrumb-style map, but it does not have full-blown mapping like you get on the Fenix 5X or Fenix 5 Plus line of watches. It does also have trackback, which basically allows you to follow your track back to where you came from, as well as distance to your destination. You can also put in specific coordinates using its sight and go function, and then it also does have sunrise and sunset times. In terms of customization, using the trail run activity as an example, you can customize the data screens to have up to 5 fields, which is up to 4 fields on the main display with 1 additional field in the cutout window. Then you have tons of alerts for different things like heart rate, pace, distance, and elevation, a metronome, auto lap, auto pause, auto climb, 3D speed, 3D distance, whether you want to enable the lap key, automatic scrolling of data pages, the GPS modes including plain old GPS, GPS plus GLONASS, and then GPS plus Galileo, as well as the Ultra Track mode, just so you can get up to 40 hours of battery life. So this is going to be really good for people like ultra runners. And then it also has a power save timeout and then changing the background color. So it does come with a pretty broad feature set, but there are two things that are missing in my opinion. And the first is going to be the lack of VO2 max. So I know a lot of runner friends that really like the look of this watch, but they still want VO2 max. So I'd love to see that in there. But the other thing missing is the lack of Garmin Connect IQ for stuff like data pages, and that's kind of a big bummer. Now, although the Instinct is aimed at the outdoor market, they didn't forget about smartwatch features, and it does have some basic stuff like notifications, calendar events, weather information that's pulled for your phone, but it does not come with Garmin Pay nor music storage and playback. However, it does still come with music controls to control the music playing back on your phone. It does also come with a long list of activity profiles with all the standard ones you would expect, but it does also come with both pool swimming as well as open water swimming, winter sports profiles like skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, and then water sports like kayak, stand-up paddleboarding, and rowing. And then gym-based activities like indoor rowing, strength training, a generic cardio profile, yoga, elliptical, stair mill, and floor climb. And then we have tactical as well as boat. But in regards to its performance as a fitness device, let's first go through GPS, and spoiler alert, there's really no issues that I had here. For running, we see some pretty solid tracks for road running, and then for trail running, again, very solid tracks overall. This portion here is along the tree line where we were going in and out of some trees, and it laid down some nice solid tracks. For road biking, it was super solid. We can see some really solid tracks throughout this entire ride with just some occasional variance on some tighter corners. Now, for a tougher GPS test, let's also look at mountain biking, where it also did lay down some pretty solid tracks, even over some tight switchbacks while we were going at slower speeds going uphill, as well as faster speeds going downhill. And then even in some heavy tree cover, it did perfectly fine and it was similar to other test devices. Now, I did experience some issues with the barometric altimeter though, where it was collecting lower figures than other test devices. And I did even try to test the latest beta firmware to see if it would clear this up, but as of the beginning of January 2019, it still seems to be reporting low. Now, I will have to say though that the Fenix 5 Plus did experience the same thing with the first initial firmwares, so I'm pretty confident that that'll probably get cleared up with the Instinct eventually. Now, for heart rate, the Instinct uses the same Elevate heart rate sensor that's been around for a couple years now, and its performance is okay for running and indoor cycling, but does get a bit thrown off with some other activities. For running, it does a pretty good job here with a few occasional high readings, and then you'll notice it flatlined here for a second, but overall this is looking pretty good. For road biking, you'll see some not so wonderful readings here where there was a rapid change in heart rate, but sometimes it did fall along with the chest heart rate strap pretty closely. But then for mountain biking, well, this is basically what you get for wrist-based heart rate while mountain biking, but don't be too alarmed. This, other than weight training, is pretty much the toughest test for wrist-based heart rate. Even the Apple Watch Series 4, which is arguably one of the best wrist-based heart rate sensors on the market right now, did flatline on a few occasions, so this is kind of par for the course for mountain biking at least. And then for weight training and high intensity interval training, again, just like mountain biking, we're talking about an activity that involves a lot of wrist flexion and arm movement, which can throw off a wrist-based heart rate sensor. But surprisingly, there were actually some portions that actually looked better than mountain biking. There were most definitely some points where it did not know what was going on, but I do have to say that it did track okay in some areas. I was actually kind of surprised that it could keep track at some points during weight training, but I still would probably suggest an external heart rate strap for the most accurate results for weight training. And then rowing is going to be another activity that wasn't exactly awesome for heart rate. And then finally for swimming, I'm actually just starting to become a more serious swimmer, and that's actually thanks to all you all, because I want to be able to test as many aspects of these devices as possible. So thank you for tuning in and pushing me to become a better swimmer. But the Instinct will provide a few different predefined pool lengths to choose from, along with a custom setting. And then for the data that it collects, it has your total time, distance, along with some more detailed metrics such as your SWOLF score, stroke counts, as well as a detailed breakdown of your laps. And it does also automatically detect your stroke type, which I did find to be pretty accurate between freestyle and breaststroke at least. Now, I was able to pair the Instinct with the HRM Swim to get real-time heart rate. However, it didn't download the heart rate data after the session like what will happen on more advanced watches like the Fenix. And this didn't necessarily come as a surprise to me, but if I was doing something wrong or if you have any more information about this, please let us all know in the comment section below. So in terms of its performance as a fitness device, the GPS is going to be rock solid. The altimeter could be better, and hopefully that'll improve with a firmware update. But the wrist-based heart rate sensor, like I said, it's getting a little bit long in the tooth at this point, and it's definitely going to suffer in activities like mountain biking, weight training, and rowing. However, you can pair this with both Ant Plus and Bluetooth external sensors. So if you want the most accurate heart rate, I definitely recommend getting an external heart rate strap, and I do have a few that I'd recommend that in the description below. But the thing that really sets the Instinct apart is going to be its design and its durability. If you've always wanted a Phoenix because of its durability and couldn't stomach that price tag, this device could really fit the bill. Alternatively, if you wanted a Forerunner 645 but wanted something more durable, again, this could be a good option. And then finally, if you wanted a Vivo Active 3 but wanted physical buttons, well, here you go. However, no device is perfect, but my complaints are fairly minor. The first I wish is that the display could be a little bit larger. The second is going to be the lack of VO2 max. Then there's also the lack of Connect IQ. Then again, the wrist-based heart rate and the altimeter could be a little bit better. But still, overall, I've really come to quite like the Instinct. It's got a unique little feature set and a cool little design that's definitely unlike any other Garmin. Anyhow, if you do have any questions or comments about the Instinct, make sure to leave those in the comment section below. And on the way down there, hit that like button if you like the video, and also subscribe to the channel for plenty of fitness and sports technology reviews and coming soon. In the meantime, go get some adventuring done, and we will see you in the next video.